Let's talk redness. I just got done doing my hair, so my cheeks are going through it. So today's story is going to be about correcting redness and trying to get the redness to go down before we correct the redness. So I already have all of my skincare on. If you want to know what that is, that's going to be on my saved highlights. Gotta get comfortable here. Okay. I'm sure that most of you already know what's happening here. This is our third. I say our because Ben has absolutely fallen in love with it too. This is magic. I've tried the other redness serums. They never did anything. This one works. It works. In fact, it's improved my redness over time. I love it. So I'm gonna do quite a bit of it, but it's coming out a little less. So that sounded like a lot. That was 4 pumps, but 2 pumps, if it's not running out, would have been fine. So 2 pumps of this. And the reason I'm doing so much is I'm gonna use this kind of as a mask first, okay? Get that on pretty thick. Get it on there. Oh, my face already feels better. I love this. It's very lightly scented. It smells more, oh, it's so lightly scented, but I can't explain it. It's just very light skincare. But we want this on really a little heavier, okay? It's gonna be all right because what we're about to do is put a mask on top of this. Okay, get ready for this. But if you have any kind of heat in your cheeks, any kind of redness, I can't stress this stuff enough. I will always have it somewhere on my vanity in my bathroom. Ben too. Okay, we talked about this last week, but we're saving this to my highlights, so we're making it official. These Sephora hydrating masks, keep them in the refrigerator, okay? Please try it. The Sephora savings event's coming up. We're gonna talk about that at a later date, so stay tuned for that. But I buy them 12 at a time because I keep them in my refrigerator and I cannot exist without these face masks. And I'm gonna put this on top of the Sikicom and I'm gonna let this sit 10 to 15 minutes and we're gonna come back and you're gonna be like, game changer. Ah, it already feels so amazing. This is also a really good way to kind of calm skin barrier. I do this too if my skin barrier is getting a little wild. Okay, I'm gonna go sit and marinate. Yes. Now this step isn't necessary, but if you happen to have a hand fan, just fantastic. I can already see my redness going down through this mask already. And then I obviously just put the excess down here on my chest and I'm just gonna go sit. I might actually just go sit in Ben's office and just see what he's up to. I'll be back. Oh, actually one more thing. Let me turn it off. I will have that when I sit, but I will definitely be putting this on. I already had it on from this morning, but I'll put extra on just to marinate even more. I love this stuff. I've talked about this. Put this in your Sephora cart. Get this ready. Okay, there's about 15 minutes and my face is already so much better. But wait, there's more. By the way, the brush that I use to apply is from Anissa Beauty, and this is a new one, okay? See how it's shaped? This is the Pinnacle Skincare brush, and I've had it for a while, I just couldn't show it, but it's a 10 out of a 10. I love it. And also, the bristles don't absorb, if you've ever wondered. They don't. They stay on top. And then the way that I would take care of it is now that I'm done with it, I'm just gonna go wash it with a little bit of soap. And since it's not a normal, your classic makeup fiber, it's gonna dry so quickly. So by the time I would go to use it for my nighttime skincare, it's gonna be dry and ready. But I do wash it after every use. Now we got quite a bit of skincare going on here on our face. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly tap it. I'm going to wipe it here on my arms. And then I'm going to do that a couple more times. And then I'm going to wait another 10 minutes before we put makeup on. This has to dry down. It will dry down, but you have to give it time. I know a lot of times we're in a hurry. You could take tissue and lightly blot it if you're in a big rush. I'm not in a huge rush. I'm not. So I'm just gonna let it sit here and continue to dry down because makeup on top of this right now, corrector on top of this is gonna be chaos. It's one of the main reasons our makeup is betraying us. Did you think I was just going to put it on and then, no, because we got to find a corrector for what we're after and even our skin tone, the type of foundation we want to wear that day. I'm going to swatch them. So, and then I'm going to walk you through them. Now, redness normally shows up, we're all different, but it normally shows up in fair to light, medium skin tones. But we can still see some redness in skin tones after that. But the color we're going to look for, and I'm going to swatch one next to this one, the color we're going to start to look for then, and even though this looks very green, it has a little bit more of a teal aspect to it with a little bit of a darker complexion. You don't want to reach for something that is a very milky white. By milky, I mean white, but the milkiness would be in the green. Let me find a lighter one here and show you the comparison even in the green. That's a really good comparison. This is great. So the one that I would recommend for anything darker than a medium tan, if you have any kind of redness, anything pink, the reds is coming through. It could even be a blemish, just something that has a little bit of redness. You're going to want this one, and that one's from NYX. It's also a great one. It's very creamy. I'm going to teach you how to put it on too, but I wanted to walk you through. And then the one here that I would say for this will work for my skin tone or even lighter. That one's going to be from Exa. Now, let me talk about what formula with what. Now, just like there's different concealers for what we're after that day, there's different foundations for the vibe that we're after, there's going to be different correctors. This is a pretty universal one. The NYX, the way that you can sheer it out, or here, this is a good tip. I might be a little scatterbrained, but I just want to be super helpful. If you ever wanted to kind of thicken up and make your corrector a little bit more full coverage, grab a little bit of translucent powder, okay, and just place that where you're trying to correct. Don't worry about there being a cast. These are going to be so creamy, it's just going to go right on top. Say you wanted this less coverage, we would just blend it out the way that it is here, right? Okay, but if you need more coverage from it and you're wanting to put this under a really full coverage foundation, that powder underneath is going to give it a really nice base. And it was just a little bit of powder, but it's going to intensify it so it matches the formula that you're pairing it with. Now the Exa one, that one I would pair with light to light medium coverage. This one right here. And then again, you could still do that same trick to kind of thicken it up, add a little bit more coverage if you needed to. So that's a really, really good thing. But there's still a few more I want to show you. So there's a corrector that I used to love, and I didn't know if it was going to be discontinued or not, but it's not. It's the Cover FX ones. They're on sale. I think I saw it for $11.90. This one is very universal. I will say this one's going to be better for fair to light medium skin tones. You can see it's very white, very milky compared to that. But this corrector is all of them. There's other colors. There's not a different shade of green, but there's obviously different colors. This is such a good everyday. I'm going to use a brush. I'm just kind of tapping it out, but it's an everyday fantastic corrector, and it used to be my absolute favorite, and I thought it was being discontinued, but it's not. So if you have a lighter skin tone than me or a couple shades darker than me, you're gonna love this. Now there's one more corrector I wanted to show you. This is the lightest version, and in terms of light, I don't mean the color. I mean that if you wanted to wear just a skin tint and you had a little spot like I have right here, this one is a gel, and it is the lightest weight. You're not going to get the same color correcting intensity, but sometimes when we're wanting to wear a skin tint, if we were to use this one underneath it with a little bit more coverage, or this stick, the more pigmented ones, if we were to put that underneath a tint, it's going to peek through. And I feel like that's a lot of times what happens to all of you in my DMs. What happens is we're not pairing the right corrector with the right tint, light coverage, light medium coverage. We're not pairing it with the right formula. All right, I had to wipe my face so my redness is back, but now we got something to conceal. So today I'm going to use my Cover FX one. I'm not going to completely do my face right now. I have to do. I actually am going to a little volunteer banquet tonight, so I'm going to do that off. but this is all about correctors, and I just want to make sure that we know what we're doing here. So my skin, I didn't wipe away the skincare. That's all there. It's perfect. We're good to go. I'm going to show you on a larger scale over here. So for this, I would use those 2 stripes. And then I'm going to show you here on this little blemish how much I would use. Okay. There we go. We're going to blend it. Let's do this. Now, the first thing we need to point out, we might be using the wrong brush. If you're not using short, dense bristles, this brush is perfect for corrector. It's about targeting. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to focus this green corrector. I want it to be as thin as possible. Thin doesn't mean that we're going to lose pigment, and that's what dense bristles like this do. You're able to focus, thin it out, and you're not losing the pigment. We're not blending that pigment to smithereens. I love that word, by the way. So what I'm just going to do is wherever I have redness, I can take some here too if I need to. Wherever I have redness, I'm going to just stamp. Stamp is going to keep that pigment focused too. But it needs to be super thin, and we need to stretch this across all of that redness. I went ahead and put a little bit of corrector there. Same with the stamping. I'm telling you, it's so important. And then same thing over here. And I'm stamping and I'm going in little circles. My retinol has my skin all wild. It gets wild and then it gets good. Now, no matter the level of coverage you want right now with your corrector, the steps I'm teaching you are going to be it. No matter if you want the most full coverage or you wanted the least amount of green corrector at this point, this just stretches all over everything. Okay, there is one little trick. This over here, we won't have to set with any powder. It's a very thin layer. But if we did remember this technique, I'm going to show you again because I love y'all so much. Okay, so we wanted to really, I'm going to use the Cover FX to show you how intensified that powder underneath is going to make it. You see that? Wild, right? Not really wild, just makeup. But if we wanted to really get this heavy, and if we have to use this much, still going to thin it out. Now that is my own husband out there betraying me with a leaf blower at this point. My goodness, the level of betrayal. But what I'm saying here is we've got a lot, and we really thickened up to really intensify the pigment. Still going to wear beautifully, but we will need to lightly set it. I'm going to leave this the way that it is to show you how to go over it with your foundation. So now we're going to take the fluffiest brush we can find in our collection. I'm going to grab a C41. That should be fine. I'm actually going to take, please use any powder. This one's from Makeup Forever, but it's just whatever loose powder you have. You're going to make sure it's really nice and even across the brush, and you're just going to stamp and you're going to set. Okay? I know it looks weird that I'm doing it that way, but I am making sure I am barely tapping. I do not want to disturb it. I picked up more powder. Okay, that's perfectly set. We're set. Now let's get some foundation on, and there's technique to that too. But remember, this lighter side over here, say we're just using a light to light medium coverage, we don't need to set this. This has dried down. If you ever have redness that needs this much, please, this foundation on top of this corrector, it's like it's never gonna it's like it never happened. I'm telling y'all, give this a really good shake. This is Estee Lauder Double Wear, a classic. Now there is a little trick. There is, because this foundation we're going to work in sections, because once it dries it could start to disturb. So I'm going to take my little makeup spatula, to search makeup spatula on Amazon. That's all you got to do. Okay, there's quite a bit on there, and I'm going to smooth this across because we do not need to be disturbing, because then we're just going to mix that with that green corrector. And you're thinking, oh, well, I could have just used a full coverage foundation. Correctors have been used by pros for a very long time for a reason. Sometimes even with your full coverage foundation, that redness could peek through. Now, dense brush, a C42 is gonna just shine in this moment. And the reason that we use the spatula instead of our finger, because we just have that very light pressure with that. I'm gonna start here on the jawline, and I'm just gonna start to tap on top of that. Am I being summoned? Hang on, I'm teaching. Look at that. We just got to make sure that we are absolutely tapping over. Does not feel heavy. Again, it was about the dense brushes creating those very thin layers. Once we get around, we can get a little more aggressive. But look at that. That's fun, right? No green peeking through. I love makeup. I took my jacket off. I just didn't want that to be turning it green. Sometimes that could reflect, and I just want to make sure in case y'all are like, well, it looks green. And if it did, which it didn't to me at all, but see, not great. Not great. I have a video on that, how the colors that we wear can affect how our foundation looks. That was kind of cool. It's a thing though. Now I want to do a video on how to get the most coverage out of double wear and how to kind of turn it into a tint, but that's for another day. But stay tuned, it's gonna be a fun video. Now on this side, I'm gonna use this foundation because this is even less coverage than Cover FX Power Play, those light to medium coverage foundations. I feel like this one's just light coverage. But listen, we might not, this is a big tip. I'm glad I grabbed this. So I don't want to put this sponge on my face. I don't want to. And the reason why is because even if I lightly do it, I have probably wiped away some of that corrector. Why? That's a sponge. What's a sponge want to do? What's a sponge wake up in the morning and want to do? Absorb. So I know this feels like an extra step, but whenever you have something underneath, you're not wanting to disturb, spatula. Take that off there. Even though this is light coverage, this is still going to be such a good tip, okay? And the reason why is because you're just able to barely touch and smooth out that foundation. All right, let's get that on there. And a fluffy brush with this? No. Nope, nope, nope. That fluffy will diffuse and mix and turn this into an olive foundation. Now the C42, still gonna be what we need. And we're just gonna lightly tap over. Notice how gentle I'm being. I'm holding the brush very far back. We have a lighter touch. Tap, 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 tap. That's what's going on in my head. But I'll tell you what, ain't no redness peeking through. Okay, so this foundation matched me not too long ago, but now I'm already too dark for this one. I have different shades in it. And I do like that foundation, but that's a much better match now. Now setting, no different. You could set with your brush. If you want lighter set, I'm getting a C42, I'm not just looking down here. Hang on now. Getting a C42, some powder. You can lightly set this way. You can set with your puff. You just set. Because at this point, once that powder makes contact with the foundation, it's just going to set. It's not going to take away. It's not going to do anything that we don't want it to do. It's just gonna place and lock it in. And that's about it on getting rid of redness. Canceling it out. Trying to combat. There you go. I got some hot cheeks and I had to share my tips. But other than obviously talking about redness, the technique I just showed you goes for all correct. Okay, that's gonna be it for today. I'm going to go edit, film a few more things. This was fun, I'm glad we did this. I know that this wasn't as long as some of the other tutorials, but things like this, they really do help. Sometimes more than the whole eyeshadow foundation tutorial. So it's important to do these. And a lot of you requested it, and I will save this to my highlights. Love you so much. I love you with all of my heart. And I'm not posting tonight, but if you ever need me, you know where I'm at. Just DM me. Love you.